In this video, we're reviewing Venom: The Last Dance and letting our dark side out with a cocktail called the Lethal Protector. Today on the Martini Shot. Hello and happy Halloween from the Martini Shot, the home of movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails. Before we get into the review, let's whip ourselves up a drink. So the Lethal Protector is a bit of an interesting one, and we'll kind of get into why a little bit later, but let's go ahead and first start by prepping our glass. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is grab a glass. I'll be using a stemless martini glass, and you are going to rim the glass with salt. Once that's done, you can go ahead and set that aside, maybe stick it in the freezer to give it a little bit of a chill. And now we can go ahead and start building the drink in the shaker. First, starting with 4 fresh blackberries and the weirdest ingredient that we're gonna be using today, balsamic vinegar. Now I know what you might be thinking, this doesn't belong in a cocktail, but it actually does and has been used in cocktails for quite a few years now. The intense vinegar flavor pairs really well with certain ingredients, and that's something we're gonna try to harness today. So with your balsamic vinaigrette, you are gonna be throwing in 3/4 ounces. And now we are going to muddle those blackberries into the balsamic vinegar until they're nice and juiced. From there, go ahead and add 3/4 ounces of fresh lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of blue curacao, and 1.5 ounces of tequila. And then just for a little bit of color and complexion, I'm just gonna be throwing in a pinch of black sanding sugar. Not only is this gonna sweeten the drink a tad, it's also gonna get the color a little bit closer to what we're looking for. And once that's all done, go ahead and throw ice in that shaker and shake to chill. Now you can go ahead and double strain into your prepared glass. You want to double strain to make sure all those chunks of blackberry don't make it into the final drink. And then to close it out, go ahead and top with a little bit of ginger beer. And there you go, now you have the Lethal Protector. So this was my first time using balsamic vinegar in a cocktail, so I kind of wanted it to have somewhat of a familiar structure, so I went with kind of the idea behind a balsamic margarita. And I threw in the addition of blackberries because honestly, I was kind of viewing it as trying to build a salad, as weird as it sounds. But balsamic, blackberries, lemon, they all pair really well together. You get this ever so present hint of the balsamic, but it's paired so well alongside that additional body of the ginger beer. A lot of people have compared the taste of balsamic in cocktails to almost like a Coca-Cola flavor. And while I won't say this tastes exactly like Coke, I think having the balsamic in there matched with the bubbliness and a little bit of the bite from the ginger beer, it definitely comes kind of close, and it makes for a really cool final product. The tequila is definitely present. Truthfully, you could probably even go a 1/2 ounce higher, hit that 2 full ounces. And the salt on the rim, like it does with most cocktails, just opens up those flavors and creates a really nice mouthfeel at the end of the day. And it really lets you experience those flavors in kind of a different way. Overall, if you're curious about trying balsamic vinegar in a cocktail, I think this is a great starting point. You're definitely gonna taste it, but it's just subdued enough where it's not gonna completely weird you out. I'm super excited about this because this now really just kind of opens up a whole new realm of cocktail possibilities. We'll see what I find in my fridge next that I can mess around with. Now that we have our drink, let's get right into the review. Ever since I was a wee lad, my favorite comic book character was Venom. He was essentially my second favorite comic character, Spider-Man, but darker and more edgy. And my preteen ass ate that crap up. He's just such a fun character that has gone through so many changes and metamorphoses, yet has always remained cool and iconic in my eyes. And yeah, I even liked him in Spider-Man 3. Say what you will about his shoehorned inclusion or having Topher Grace play Eddie Brock, I still loved it, and I couldn't wait for the potential day that a Venom movie would come to fruition. Especially when the MCU really started to pick up steam and Spider-Man was brought into the mix. I could not wait to see what Marvel had planned for the Lethal Protector. There's just one issue. I have made it very clear on this channel that I think Sony has completely crapped the bed with its Spider-Man universe that doesn't even have Spider-Man. Their attempts to create an extended universe using the B and C players of the Spider-Man mythos has not produced a single moderately good outing. And yes, that includes the Venom trilogy. Let's ignore the fact that Spider-Man, an integral part to the identity and creation of Venom, is not in it. Genuinely, I still think it could work. It wouldn't be the same, and it does lose part of what makes the dynamic so compelling, but I still think there's something that can be done. But that first Venom movie was not very good in my eyes, and its follow-up was even worse. And now we're here, the third film, manipulatively named The Last Dance to imply we have reached the end of the road on this truly gripping story, meaning we're going to go out with a bang. But it's not really a bang like a firework, more like a bang of explosive diarrhea hitting the toilet bowl. Venom: The Last Dance is nothing. It does nothing, satisfies nothing, and means nothing. It's an overly complicated yet shockingly barren film that has not learned from the missteps of its past films and has opted to continue to crap out ill-conceived and underbaked ideas while coasting on the recognizability of the titular character. The duo of Eddie Brock and Venom are the high point, but that high point is only a few inches off the ground. It's shockingly boring, barren of any real sense of joy or emotion, and it immediately backtracks on its own identity as soon as it can, because when has Sony ever turned down a couple extra bucks? Eddie Brock and his symbiote pal are on the run from the government and try to head to New York to seek asylum, but they quickly find out that they are also being hunted by monsters sent by a galactic evil that needs something the two have. From there, the duo engage in a buddy road trip where they meet new faces, old friends, and plenty of wasted potential. I said Eddie and Venom's relationship is still the highlight of the film, but I thought it's never felt weaker than this movie. They're still kind of the same bickering married couple, only this time the film makes it a point to try to remind you of how much they've been through together. All the ups and downs and the wacky misadventures, as if you were supposed to really feel something for this pairing. These two losers' relationship never feels as deep or as personal as the film suggests, but I can't really blame Tom Hardy for a lot of it. His Eddie Brock has gotten increasingly more sweaty and dirty as the films have gone on, and I like that. I do like that he stayed a schmuck that gets progressively more confident throughout the films, but as a character, I feel like there's not a ton to get behind. As for his Venom voice, yeah, I still can't understand what he's saying half the time. As for the supporting cast, it's the same crime as the previous film. Talented actors given absolute hogwash to work with. Chiwetel Ejiofor and Rhys Ifans are probably the biggest head scratchers here, considering Ejiofor is the MCU's Baron Mordo, while Rhys Ifans portrayed the Lizard in The Amazing Spider-Man and more recently Spider-Man No Way Home. Given how it seems Sony has been adamant about finding ways to join their universe with the MCU, this feels weirdly misguided and proof that they have no real direction ahead. Ejiofor's Rex Strickland is pretty much a generic military commander, while Ifans' Martin Moon does deliver on some goofy hippie shenanigans that ultimately doesn't lead to anything worthwhile. And then there's Null, god and creator of the symbiotes, who is orchestrating the whole thing to free himself from a galactic prison. You could tell Sony wants this to be their Thanos-level threat, which seems odd to introduce in what you're labeling as your finale. Aside from a big dumb exposition dump at the beginning and a worthless mid-credits scene, he does not leave an impact in the slightest, purely a pair of jingly keys to shake at you to try to convince you this film is better than it is. The biggest detractor of these films for me has been the writing. Now, I know what I'm getting myself into with a film like this. I'm not expecting Aaron Sorkin levels of dialogue and wit, but I'm at least expecting it to be entertaining. Venom is a funny character, and despite Hardy's weird but entertaining line deliveries, I never found anything he said to be funny on its own. Almost every attempt at being humorous or clever fell flat to me. Say what you will about the quippiness of the MCU, but that has a far higher batting average than anything Sony has created. Everything that isn't meant to be funny just ends up being bland, stereotypical action movie jargon, feeling like filler that's meant to be glossed up later in a rewrite. Sometimes the writing doesn't even make a ton of sense. Take these xenophage aliens hunting Venom. They see in this static grayscale and can only track Venom when he is in his full form. If Venom turns back into Eddie, he's pretty much invisible to them, even if he's standing right in front of them. But Venom can still project himself without triggering their sight. It's only when he's fully formed. Does this mean Venom could just I don't know, leave one of Eddie's fingers visible when formed and the aliens couldn't find them? Also, when Eddie and Venom are separated, the xenophage still knows to track the helicopter they are being carried in despite it being unable to see them a minute earlier when they were right in front of them. Sure, this is maybe nitpicking, but I think it just reflects how little thought went into this. Here's a scene that I think perfectly encapsulates Sony's handling of the Spider-Man properties. So, Rex Strickland is tracking Venom to Vegas, and he has a call with a shady higher-up asking for permission to utilize the Six. Ooh, sounds cool, doesn't it? Now we know Strickland works for an organization that's housing several symbiotes, so my first thought was, oh, they're going to send in a special ops team bonded with symbiotes to hunt down Venom, and then later on Venom and those symbiotes will have to team up to face a common threat. But the very next scene when Venom is captured, it's just 6 regular special op guys that subdue him. Those symbiotes come into play later, but their inclusion feels way less meaningful and uninteresting. That's Sony's Marvel films. They have interesting tools at their disposal, but they have no clue how to utilize them to their fullest potential. What else is there even more to say? The effects for Venom and the xenophages are quite good, but a lot of these digitally generated environments look terrible, and some of the other symbiote effects in this are just downright laughable. The needle drops are predictable and boring. I guess the well they call the Sony Music Vault is running a little dry. But there isn't anything more laughable than that last song in the final moments of the film, and I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. Earlier this year, Sony put out Madam Web, one of the worst superhero films I've seen in years. It's a baffling mess of a movie, but honestly, I'm currently wondering if I liked it more than this. Yeah, Madam Web is laughably terrible, but at least it made me feel some kind of emotion. At least it was so bad that I couldn't look away. I wanted to mentally check out multiple times throughout this, despite there being some semi-decent action sequences and corny fun. Venom: The Last Dance, like the first 2 films, does not do the character justice, nor does it come together to form a baseline decent movie. It's mindless, but not in a way that impresses you with the sheer absurdity of it. It just makes your eyes glaze over and smooths your brain into a slick pebble. It has no real admirable identity to it, no real style or substance that makes me think, hey, at least an effort was made. Some people are trying, like Hardy, the VFX team, and the marketing team, considering this thing is doing pretty well at the box office, but it isn't enough to make me like this. This isn't even the last ride as the film labels itself. It just has no stakes, no emotional resonance, and no reason to put my faith into Sony's live-action Marvel properties ever again. For right now, I'm feeling about 1.5 Statue of Liberties out of 5. And now I want to leave you with my half-assed recreation of the ending of this movie. Take it away, cast of Family Guy.
Here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here but you're not. 'Cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through.
Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. 'Cause the drinks bring back all the memories, and the memories bring back you.
There's a time that I remember when I did not know no pain. When I believed in forever and everything would stay the same.
Now my heart feels like December when somebody says your name. 'Cause I can't reach out to call you, but I know I will one day.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Martini Shot. If you saw Venom: The Last Dance, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. And if you like what you saw here and would like to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me across all social media channels. Those links are down in the description below. And if you enjoy movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails, be sure to check out my website, martinishot.blog. Until next time, thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Live deliciously, but please remember to drink responsibly.